Hello my friends, welcome to today's video. If you're new here, my name is Chelsea and I'm so happy that you're here. We are talking all things fall today. I'm going to be discussing my fall TBR, and yes, I know this is a little ridiculous. We have almost 20 books, I think. So likelihood is I'm not going to finish all these, but you know, I like to have options. It's nice to have choices and just kind of mood read when I want to. So I've already started my rewatches of The Vampire Diaries and Gilmore Girls, so we are ready to jump into fall. Let's go ahead and jump into my fall TBR. Now, first up, we have a few new releases. First up, we have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This book comes out September 19th, I think. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's like a 90s Gilmore Girls inspired rom-com, like all the fall vibes, all the Gilmore Girls vibes, all the Stars Hollow vibes. We've got a grumpy single dad. I think he runs a bakery. And then the girl who comes into town from the city, who's running the inn, but is eager to get back to the city. I'm so excited for this one. Everything that Julie has been posting on her Instagram has me frothing at the mouth for this rom-com. I can't wait. Next, we have Air by Sabaa Tahir. This is I think it's kind of a sequel. It's set in the same world as Ember of the Ashes, but I think it's like 20 years in the future. And if you know me at all, you know I love an Ember in the Ashes series. I recently reread it in anticipation for Air coming out in October. This series, again, had me in a chokehold. Like, I've already read it and I was still crying uncontrollably, like ugly crying on the couch. I cannot wait to see what we return to in this world and kind of where these new characters take us. Next, we have Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea, which came out 3 years ago, I want to say. I absolutely adored that book. I thought the character was so sweet. I thought the premise was interesting and unique. I loved our little love story. Like, everything about this book just makes my heart happy. And then finally, we have Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. To be honest, I'm a little nervous about this book because I believe that our main characters are not together when we start Nothing Like the Movies, which essentially means our happily ever after didn't last from Better Than the Movies, and that makes me a little sad, but it's also very realistic. And I know Wes Bennett is a little rom-com lover, and he is going to do whatever he can to win back the girl of his dreams. So I have high hopes, but I am a little bit nervous about it. Let's get into the other non-new releases that I have on my TBR. First up, let's tackle fantasy. We've got Chain of Gold. This is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I just finished Queen of Air and Darkness, which is the third book in the third series of the Shadowhunters worlds. And I am desperate to finish the Shadowhunter world this year. So if I could read one book in this trilogy a month, I would be finished by the end of November. That is my goal. So this is book one. I love Shadowhunters. I love this world. I love the characters. I love seeing them come back again and again, either like siblings or ancestors or children or what have you. I adore this world so much. Next, we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this series, and I've had this physical book on my TBR for like 2 years, so it's just time to read it. And for some reason, this screams fall to me. I can't explain it, but I feel like I need to finally pick it up. I know this is more sci-fi than fantasy, but I just need to start this series and see what all the hype is about. So this one is definitely happening in the fall. Next up, we have These Infinite Threads by Tahara Mafi. This is book 2 in the Woven Kingdom trilogy. No, it's not a trilogy because I think there's a 4th book coming out next year. This is the 2nd book in the Woven Kingdom series. I really enjoyed book 1. It wasn't like, oh my god, I have to pick up the next one right now, but I am intrigued to see where the story is gonna go. I think I felt the same way about Shatter Me when I first read it, but book 2, I mean, I read that book on a regular basis, so I'm hoping this book 2 will give me the same feels. Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I think we have a theme with Cassandra Clare books here. This is a chunky one. She thick. I am really nervous to pick this one up, but I think the 2nd book in this series comes out early next year, so I would love to get to it before it does. I know nothing about this. I think it's adult fantasy. That's all I know. So I love going in blind to things like this. Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This book has been on my TBR for so long. I actually bought the Kindle version like 2 or 3 years ago, and I found this physical copy at my library book sale, so I snatched it up. But I don't really know much about this, except it's a trilogy and it's fantasy. I think it's YA fantasy. This is also on my 10 fantasy series to read in 2024. We'll see if it happens. Next up, we have The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. The world that N.K. Jemisin creates is one of the most unique worlds I've ever read in my life. It is a little intimidating because it can be a bit confusing and maybe feel like it's not the typical fantasy that I go to, right? It's not like a typical KU fantasy romance. This is, it's deep, it's atmospheric, and it's not like a quick read for me, and I think that's why I tend to stray away from it, but I really want to get it on my TBR. I really want to see kind of what happens after the end of book 1. I feel like I need to read the last couple chapters in book 1 before I pick this one up, but this needs to happen in fall. And then a couple others that I don't have physically. We have Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I, again, don't know much about this book. I think the sequel came out earlier this year, and the people who love this book, like, love this book. And my friend Mads loves it, so I need to get to it. It's chunky, but I think it's on Kindle Unlimited, which is really exciting. It's got vampires. That's all I know. Last one on my fantasy list is Blood and Steel by Helen Scher. This is book 1 in a series. I'm not sure what the series is called. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's a fantasy romance. I've heard incredible things. All of the booktube girlies rave about this series, so I need to finally get to it, and the covers just make me feel fall, so we're gonna add it to the list. Why not? Let's just add another one, shall we? Next up, we've got some atmospheric type books that just give me like fall vibes. So first up, we have Bunny. I think this is a school setting, and it's like dark. I think this cover is a lie. I don't think this is a happy go hot pink moment. I think this is a dark, more like college culty moment, maybe? I don't know. I could be totally wrong. But everything I hear is like, this book is off the walls and I'm not going to want to put it down. So this is giving me fall vibes. I'm eager to see the hype. Next up, we have I Fell in Love with Hope. I don't know much about this. I think this is a romance, but I think it's a sad romance. I think maybe our two main characters are terminally ill or know people who are terminally ill or something, and I think it's gonna make me cry, which I'm all for in fall. So also this cover is giving me fall vibes. I don't know. This is a fall book. I have to read it. Next up, we have Hamnet. Again, I don't know much about this book. I think it's set in like the 1500s, the Black Death. I think it has something to do with Shakespeare type things based on the title. But I've heard nothing but amazing things. I found it at my library book sale for $1, and I was like, I have to buy this book. And it's giving fall vibes. So again, that's why it's in this pile. Last up in this section, we have Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I have had this book on my TBR for several months, but I've been putting it off for the fall because this just screams fall to me. I love Olivia Blake's writing. I think it's so beautiful, and I'm just like, this copy itself is so gorgeous. I can't wait to get to it. The final section in this TBR, we are coming to the end, is dark romance. I don't physically own any of these books. I will be reading them all on Kindle Unlimited. First up, we have the Darkverse series by Runix. I read the first 2 books in this series last year, and I really enjoyed it. It's a little mafia romance. I think the first 2 books were about 2 characters and their romance, and then book 3 goes to 2 different characters, and so that's where I'm gonna pick up with book 3. That's called The Emperor. I really liked the writing. I was intrigued by the story, so I want to keep going with the series. And then I also would love to pick up Gothicana by Runix. I've seen this one at my library a couple of times, and the edition of this book is gorgeous. It has these like dark purple sprayed edges. It's just giving like dark romance fall vibes, and I think it's a school setting. I really know nothing about it, but every time I see it, I think, wow, I should pick up that book. So I might go pick that up at the library for this TBR as well. Next up, we have The Ritual by Chantal Tessier, I think is how you say her name. Again, I think this is a secret society in college, like rich boys, dark romance. The cover itself, I mean, this is giving all the dark romance vibes, and this is screaming fall. I'm intrigued by this book. I don't know how I will like it, but we're gonna go with it. I will try it out, and if I enjoy it, I will read the rest of the series. And then finally, we have Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. I know this book is like off the walls. I think there's a shipwreck or a drowning and they are stuck in a lighthouse together. I don't know what happens in this book, but I have seen it quite a few places and I have a couple of friends who have recommended it to me, so I will be picking up this book this fall. I believe that leaves 18 books on this TBR, not including any series, just the first books in this series that I mentioned. So we have our hands full for fall. I will definitely be posting reading vlogs including all of these books. Let me know down below what you plan to read this fall, or if we have any similar books on our TBRs. I love to see what other people are reading. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!